Welcome to So Guided, a spiritual travel guide for the curious.
Join us as we dive into the mystical, high-vibe ways we can connect to the universe and ourselves. We are trying anything and everything woo-woo. Whatever the result, mind-blowing, unbelievable, or hilarious, we promise to share in truth.
Ready to explore? Suspend disbelief and let's discover the mysterious together. Hello and welcome to another episode of So Guided. Today we are getting into out-of-body experience and astral projection. This might be crazy, but I have done it before. You got questions? So do we. Let's do this.
Hi, everybody. This is Carissa.
And this is Jenny.
Today, we are going to be talking about out-of-body experiences. If you listened last week, we did an episode on near-death experiences, and we're going to talk a little bit about out-of-body experiences and astral projection and astral travel as part of that. And we realized there's some differences and some nuances, and it really intrigued us. We wanted to jump in and talk a little bit more about out-of-body and astral projection. Mm-hmm. But before we do that, I'm going to start with my weekly woo-woo. We've talked about this before when you feel like you're on the right path or you feel like you're on a path and then the universe kind of sends you like a carrot or sends you something to either totally like bypass you or to really see how bad you want in the original path. And so we're actually going through this right now. So it's less of a woo-woo, but more of like I just wanted to share it and get your POV on like what you think. But Nick actually has been like, he works and he does great. He's got a really good job. And we've been talking about either like doing something like different in the future, like maybe getting a franchise or maybe doing like buying like a rental property or something. So we've been talking about that and we've been like kind of figuring out like what's our next step in the next 10 years? Because like, are we just going to keep doing these jobs? So we've been talking about kind of what's the next step. And he's been looking into, like I said, franchises and getting pretty excited about certain things. Recently, like this week, out of nowhere, he got reached out to for like a job that when we were in our 20s was like a dream job. It was like a job that we're like someday, and it's basically like running all these radio stations. So it's like a big job. It's just something that we've always said, oh, being this role would be perfect for you. But had been put on the back burner. He hasn't been in radio in a long time. He's been in digital, so it kind of moved away from that. And this job, while it seems like awesome, really would take him away. You know, he works from home a lot now. He has he has flexibility. He has trust in a certain company. You know, when you start a new job, it's a whole new world. And like the company that he'd go and work for is very much like old school, in the office vibe. You know, like very like radio is still very archaic in the way they approach work-life balance. So it would be very different. And so I'm like wondering, I'm like, you know how when we talk about that, like sometimes you think you're on the right track and then something like comes in?
Well, I think our version for right now could be a carrot, but you're absolutely right. In our manifesting episode, the challenge I was on, they have a word for it.
I know.
And we'll call it carrot for today. And it's basically you're on the right track. You have something that you know you want and you're given something that's 5 out of 10. Or 8 out of 10, or the thing to ask you, like, are you ready to accept the bigger, greater thing?
Right.
And it's a real thing. It's like,
it is.
This isn't it yet. Are you going to keep going?
Right.
Are you going to settle?
Right. Or is this like shiny object going to make you like move, like when you think like you're on the right path, is this shiny object over here, which in the past may have been something.
Totally.
And so we were asking Van, like my little guy. So Nick was like, you know, like daddy's thinking about this like job, like it'd be really cool because if I got this job, you'd be able to meet like Morgan Wallen. He loves Morgan Wallen. And Ben's like, oh, that'd be cool. Like I can meet him. He's like, oh yeah, you'd meet him, like go to all these concerts because you would. He'd have access to all this stuff. And Van's like, that's awesome. And he's like, the only thing is I'd have to be away more. So we wouldn't have like as much time because I'd be at work and like wouldn't be able to take you to like tennis. And he's like, well, then I don't want it. And like, he's like, I don't want you to do that. And Nick's like, oh, well, even if you got to meet like this stuff and do all these like, cool things. And he was like, no. He's like, not if it means like you're not there. And so it's funny, but I wanted to share it because like we talk about these like manifesting and these things and like when you think you're on the right path or when you think you have something and everything's going to go status quo and then out of nowhere something you never expected kind of comes and you have to figure out like what's the right path for the universe. So we're in like I'm like living and breathing like a woo-woo experience of like what what are we supposed to do, and asking for all the signs and throwing it out there. So I wanted to.
I love it. First of all, I see that for you, the franchise for you guys. That tracks for me.
Someday.
For you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
But I feel like even you telling it out loud, you already know the answer. It's to hold strong. I love that, but I think stay the course.
I know.
You just explained it and presented it to all of us that way.
Yeah. And I present it that way, but you never know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I as much as I presented it that way, there's so many pros to the other side. So it's just it's a hard one. And I'm like, in this other thing, not to like go like too far down rabbit hole, but then I think too, I'm like, well, was the other stuff a distraction?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And this is what we've been waiting for. True. It just had to fall in our lap.
True.
You know, so it's like, because it'd be like a big, it'd be a big opportunity, you know? So it's just really, it's so hard to know what the right path is.
All right. So like, let's take it the next step. How do you get clarity? From a spiritual way. Do you guys need to like go for a walk in the woods and like zen out together? By PS, no van input this time. Though I love the truth of a child. But you know what I mean? Yeah. But that's a real thing. Genuinely, we have big life decisions and we have new ideas. My knee jerk as a friend hearing the story is like, your instinct, the way you even shared it was that you're meant to keep trying.
Right.
Sorry.
Right, I know.
Bird's eye view, you got the carrot. You literally called it a carrot.
Right.
And I think you're in this phase of life right now. We aren't in the like hustle in the way where we're away from our family.
I know.
Part of life.
So
and
true.
I've been there. We've both been there where you would do anything for that amazing job.
Oh, right.
But we're in find balance part of our life. And that's the true chapter we're in.
So true.
So let's call it what it is.
It's so
You're
true.
in the new chapter where you two were trying to find a new business that allows you to be a part of your family, and even it's actually a greater dream. Your greater dream's the win.
Okay, all right. I love it. Thank
Therapy
you.
with Jenny today.
Thank you.
Therapy.
That's good. That's helpful.
All right. Well, what's funny and not shocking? My woo-woo's so similar. So we don't tell each other our woo-woos. And almost every week we have like a weird crossover, and it's so strange. So I'm reporting back in on manifesting.
Oh, good.
I know, but that's what we're talking about.
Funny. I love it.
So I have kind of a funny follow-up. If you listen to the manifesting episode in the beginning, middle of the season, recommend going to it. We talk all about this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm kind of cycling back because it was just the other day that I realized I had talked about a manifesting list of the quick ones, the small ones that come like speedy. And then you make a long-term list, and they're kind of stretchy goals, right?
Yeah.
And I had the two lists. And in that episode, I shared that like the speedy things were happening really quick. And I hadn't really like touched back in with it. Yeah. And I realized, oh my goodness, really wild things happened that I really thought were a stretch. And I have to be so specific that I don't want this to be a superficial report in, but it's a follow-up to literally putting on a list something that made no sense for me to get.
Okay. Yeah.
So going through it, one of my things I had talked about was wanting to have travel, free travel. My honest part of the story is we are broke. Like we are like broke. You know what I mean? We are getting through
you just had a big investment.
So we are frugal. Let's just say I'm not buying the nice shampoo right now.
No.
Okay. No. So when I put a manifesting list in the world, it really is manifest. So like I knew I wanted to travel and that we don't have that abundance that moment.
Right.
So I put it on the list. So I just realized in retrospect, I had traveled with my friends and I had one trip, that was scheduled, and it was to Nantucket. And I was really lucky because everyone came to my neck of the woods. And a weird thing happened on that trip where the hotel that we booked, the place we booked was really special, got booked by a celebrity long term. And so they had to switch our accommodation. So as a result, they gifted us a penthouse suite in town, gave us $2,000 credit. All of our dinners and drinks were paid for, and they gave us a Hinkley boat with a captain for the day, all the compass, because we had booked like 8 months ago. And I didn't think about it till later.
Weird.
I know.
Oh my God.
That one of the things on my list had been travel, but travel where it's like paid for or comped or something, because I knew that I didn't have a lot to spend on fun stuff this year. That's one of them.
Wow.
A second is, and to this day, I don't know what like frickin' like alternate universe Brian was in, One of my biggest stretch goals, as you know, was getting a Pilates machine.
Yes.
And I love Brian. You guys have heard me say this. I'm not throwing him under the bus. He is frugal.
To the point where like I like joke with both of them that like Jenny and I, even with our experiences that we do for this show and stuff, and we're like, it costs money, we have to do it. But she's like, well, I have to ask Brian. Like, and he's like very much like,
I check in.
Yeah,
check in.
He's a penny pincher.
So one of my biggest goals that on that list that I'm like, I'm not getting for 5 years, to the point where I'm like, fine with it. 5 years from now, maybe one day I'll own a Pilates machine. I don't know what psychedelic trip he was, but my anniversary present this year was the Pilates machine. And that one was when I started thinking about Nantucket, and I started going through the year and I'm like, holy crap.
Well, and I want to add something. This may sound to people out there like, wow, your husband bought you a Pilates machine. What a manifest. It is a manifest. If you know this, if you know their like relationship in this couple,
yes,
like it really is. Like it's almost like something took over Brian to do it because he wouldn't just do it. So it's not like it sounds like, oh wow, really manifesting. Jenny, your husband went and bought it. Like no, like something had to have like switched in his brain to go and do that.
Totally.
So yeah, it's like really is. Like I look at it as like as wild as getting a free Nantucket suite for some reason. Like that's how.
Yes, you know that.
I do know that. Like, I want to validate that for you because again, as a story, people will be like, oh my God, Jenny, what are you talking? You know, like, but this is like legit.
Totally. So there's like 5 others. That's crazy.
It's so amazing.
I had a few work goals and they're like boggling my mind, but this is the end of it. But like I had 2 things. I really wanted and this one actually overlaps your version of it. I really want to get a job somewhere tropical and exotic, like just to spice up my life. It also relates to that I've identified I need travel, but can't do it right now. And the other one is I really, really want like a winter lodge vibe. And in the last month, I've gotten inquiries on both. And I never have ever. But they were carrots because they were ones that like the surroundings of them and the timing of them weren't right. So I took them as just my advice to you. I was like, oh, great, it's coming. Because when you have something that you want, there's like a flurry of things around it. And it might not be the one, and you just wait it out. And I knew that they were too specific to what I asked for, that it's exactly coming in, but those aren't it yet. Ooh. So I was like, awesome, thank you, sign.
A reminder that it's coming versus like a distraction where you're like, oh, I have to take this. And like, if you hold too tight and feel like you need to grab it because it's there, that's like, that's how they get you.
Totally. That's how they get you.
That's how they get you.
I love it. So anyway.
That's great.
Yeah. So we overlap, not shockingly, on our out-of-body experience. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about out-of-body experience.
Yes.
So we decided to circle back to this because when we talked about near-death experience last week, they do overlap. So just for starters, out-of-body experience is when you consider that you have a soul and it pops out of your physical person, your physical body. And so you are an astral being. You are of spirit. And an out-of-body experience is marked by the fact that you could look down upon your body and be outside of your body. So a lot of people, and one of the most significant things reported last week in the near-death experiences is out-of-body experience. Often the stories that relate to someone being in a hospital room and seeing what the doctors and nurses are doing and reporting what music was on the radio and what conversations were had. And this is an out-of-body experience.
Right, and that's how out-of-body experiences is how they validate a lot of near-death experiences.
That's
because they can't validate once you can't validate once you're off in like the other realm or in a heaven or in like another like space. But people who have an out-of-body experience during a near-death experience can be like literally like no heartbeat, like dead on a table, but then say, I heard this conversation. I know what nurse was administering this and can like speak to things that there's no way they would know. So that's a way that they validated many near-death experiences.
Right. They're evidential.
Out of body. Yep.
Totally.
Through this out-of-body experience.
Totally. So an out-of-body experience is typically a part of a near-death experience. Now, separately, out-of-body experience can happen to anyone. Mm-hmm. It could happen when you're sleeping and you pop out. It could happen during a traumatic non-near-death experience. It could happen during a healing session. Yep. There's a million ways that an out-of-body experience can happen. So it's just like a really fascinating subject. This now has one other layer, and that's astral projection. So I thought they were one and the same until we dug into this. Yep. But astral projection is when you pop out of your body and have an out-of-body experience, but you go somewhere else. You go to your friend's bedroom. You go to Paris. You go to another planet. You go to another realm. So all astral projections are an out-of-body experience, but all out-of-body experiences are not an astral projection.
Got it.
Clean?
Yes.
Okay.
Got it. And an astral projection is like purposeful.
Purposeful.
Right? Like where like someone can like try, meditate, practice in order to be able to do it and then go somewhere.
Both can be practiced.
Okay.
But astral projection is when you leave the room.
Right. And I guess astral projection is not always practiced either. There are examples, right, where it just like can happen spontaneously.
That can happen spontaneously too. So an example of astral projection on one of the stories I read was there was a gentleman who was actively trying to do it, doing meditations and like, you know, the techniques you were supposed to do and actively trying to do it. So went to, in an astral projection in the evening, went to a friend's bedroom, saw what was on her nightstand, what was in her room, had never been in the person's bedroom who was his friend. And the next day, like saw the things, called his friend and was like, I think I did it. I think I was in your bedroom last night. And she's like, I totally felt your presence. And he described the bedroom, the picture that was on the nightstand, what was on the other side of the room, the color of the carpet, and completely verified that that person had astral projected.
That's interesting that she could feel his presence too. Like
totally.
She could feel his
and
energy.
that was the other thing.
Really interesting.
Yeah. And so really cool. But there's a lot of like stories on that with astral projection where, again, verifiable.
Yeah.
Where like you could report facts or something.
Right, you can tell people what you saw.
Yes. So I don't know. So this is a subject, out-of-body experiences intrigued me forever. Mm-hmm. I've loved it. So one of the reasons we're even talking about it is I have had one.
Yay, tell us. And I've been waiting to hear the story.
You have actually not heard
this yet.
I will share that it's not thrilling, but what it is that like I could actually tell you that it has happened. So the background is in freshman year of college, I had just an open English class where they said you could do any subject in the world. Any subject, and you're going to research it and write about it. And I, being me, picked a weird subject. Yeah. So I was like, if I'm going to research something, I'm going to do something I'm curious about. I picked out-of-body experience.
That is a really like 16 years old or something like that.
I was a freshman in college.
College. Okay. Yeah. Like
so I was
18.
I went to college at 18. Yeah.
But I'm not like what an interesting subject.
I know. My teacher was like, what a weirdo.
Yeah, no, I love it.
But it was kind of a good idea, right? To do something that was curious. So I loved researching this. So while I was gathering information, I read about techniques, which I had put in my story. So I started at nighttime, like going through the techniques. At the time, I wasn't a meditator. So it was probably my version of meditating. And most of the time when I try the different techniques, I'd fall asleep and just have a peaceful sleep. But I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried. And I tried it so long that it was like a routine. And I think it was sophomore year. It had to have been because I was in.
But you did like a year.
Oh, for a long time. This did not happen quickly. Every once in a while, I'd remember to try it. So when it sounds like I'm trying.
Of course. Yeah, you're in college. I'm going to try it tonight.
So fast forward, and I'm living in a house on campus with friends. And so I had my own bedroom with no roommate. And I remember thinking then I don't have someone in the room, and it felt safer to try, so I would. So I was trying a technique, and it's, I think, called the silver rope technique. We're going to get into the techniques that you could try later, so I'll share those with you. But the silver rope technique is something like where you envision a silver cord, and you put your hands on it and pull yourself out on the silver cord. And by doing it, what's being pulled out on the silver cord towards the ceiling is your actual soul.
Oh, I've never heard
energy.
Of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Very interesting.
So I would try. That was the technique that I try, but it wasn't working for me.
You're just laying there.
I'm laying there, and a lot of times, they do out of body experiences. One of the markings of it is that you get really buzzy. And tingly all over. And I would get to a point where I was so close that I felt the barrier between my body and the air. Like the air being the spiritual world, okay?
Whoa.
I could feel it as if it was imagine a radio frequency moving, right? Or if you have an Instagram filter and you're switching between photos and it makes it kind of tingle and make it go blurry. You could feel it when I knew I was getting somewhere because there would be times where I could feel my body, not my body, and that there was no beginning or end. I could feel the blur on the edges of my physical body.
And not your foot's asleep or not like that. Not that kind of
No.
Not numbness, but
literal. But what I mean, I'm trying to describe it because it's so wild. So if your body is drawn like a cartoon.
Yeah.
And a kid drew your body. So there's a line of your physical body. The line of my physical body went fuzzy. So if you see a solid line that you drew to outline the shape of you, that solid line turned fuzzy.
Wow. Okay.
And I could feel that. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
So then like suddenly I'm not that hard physical line. I'm a soft fuzzy line. And I could start to feel the difference between the energy beyond that and that which is my body. So I knew I was getting closer and closer. But this darn silver cord technique not working for me. On one particular night, I forgot to turn my music off, which you're supposed to have like clean music or whatever. And I started thinking about music being frequency. And I started thinking about how does it get from that speaker to my ears? Because it was on a radio. We're old school, many decades ago in college. So I started really thinking about the frequency of sound. And this is literally not to try to have an out-of-body experience. At this point, my brain's just going on a tangent. I started thinking about the frequency of music. You don't see it, but it's between me and that speaker and getting to my ears. And something about the concept of what was not seen between me and that speaker emitting the sound, the frequency, triggered something in my body. Whew! I was out of my body. I was in the air floating with the musical notes in my room. Out of my body. I know. She's staring at me with her jaw dropped and looking at me like I have 10 heads. So something about the thought of being one with the frequency of music, which P.S. is not a technique.
No, I'm just saying you have your own technique. Oh my God, Jenny. Manifesting and out-of-body experiences brought to you by Jenny.
So I'm like literally the idea of being one with the music is what brought me there. It made so much more sense to my person, my soul, was to be one with the music, which is a frequency, not a physicality. Yeah. So suddenly I am non-form. And here's the wild thing. So I'm in the room and it's very fuzzy and heavy and thick. And it's not like what I would have expected was you're like light and buoyant and airy.
Yeah, that's what I was picturing.
It was more like, it was almost like when we were in the float tank. And you could feel like the heaviness of the water supporting underneath you like a mattress. So it wasn't like fluid air or light and airy from my experience. This isn't like a typical report, but I was in space and it was a little bit more cloudy and thick than you'd think, but my mind was super clear. So I'm one with the music. So I'm literally at the level of where my body thought music was. So I'm like 5 feet in the air, not like hovering at the ceiling like you kind of would have expected.
Right.
I totally see myself. I look fine. I look safe. And I am in my house. So I decided to go down the hall.
Wait, I have a question real quick. So you can see your body as you're looking down.
Yeah.
Can you see like two bodies? Like if you're looking at you, can you also see yourself floating?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so you can't. So like you know your consciousness is out of the body.
Yeah.
But you can't see that. You can see your physical body because the consciousness isn't
totally.
It's not like you're a ghost all of a sudden.
I'm not. It's more like it's weird. There isn't two entities.
Okay.
And so I see myself. I see every detail in my room. Again, very hazy and somehow heavy, even though I'm not with feet on ground.
Yeah.
I am one with the spiritual world or the air. It almost felt more like I was one with the air, for the lack of a better term. But and here's another thing about out-of-body experience. They do say they're marked by being in the presence. Like you're in the moment if you're not astral projecting.
That's neat.
So like that's why the people in the hospitals are reporting they're in that moment where their body is.
Right.
So I'm in the time and place of where my physical body is. I'm not leaving the time, place, in dimension of my body, right?
Got it.
But I'm not my body. Okay. So I just decided to kind of see as far as I could go. And I remember thinking, even though I was like, wanted to explore if I could physically move down the hall, being scared at the same time.
Okay.
And this is the marker of like, it's about to end. Because as soon as you start to feel like the fear or the anxiety of being away from your body, you could snap back in. Doesn't happen yet. I go down the hall. I'm able to go down the hall.
Okay, and like floating, like
and
thinking going?
Thinking going.
Okay.
And my roommate, Kate, who had the room closest to me, I went in her room. I saw her snuggling with her boyfriend at the time. And it wasn't like I went through the door or the wall. I thought of her room and I was in it. So it was almost like I went two places. One was the hall, and I was suddenly in the hall. And then from the hall, I peeked in on them. And then when I peeked in on them, I realized it was really far from my body, and I got scared to death and whoosh, like sucked back in, almost as if there was a whoosh sound and I'm in my body again.
Wow. I think that's a great. Okay, a few questions. So, did you feel like you were tethered to your body?
No.
Okay.
So this is something that if you're using techniques, you're actually supposed to imagine being tethered. So if I was doing it in the way that they like try to train you to, you should and you're supposed to, for safety, have an imaginary tether. But the way my body finally did it, I think it was because I was doing the music was my.
Yeah.
I think everyone has an entry. Like that's why I'm going to share a few techniques. I feel like it's got to be what works for your thoughts and your brain. So like my entry to it, my invitation was the music frequency that allowed my body to understand being frequency and not body. And so I wasn't tethered. And I think that was why I was afraid.
Yeah.
There was no tether. And I had an actual angst feeling of like, what if I can't get back in?
Right.
So you're so like clear-headed enough that you're aware enough, and not, by the way, it's not necessarily like blissful.
Right.
It wasn't blissful at all. And it actually, let me be clear, it's not scary. It was only scary when I realized, oh my God, I did it.
Right.
How am I going to get back in? Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
I think it's interesting that you say like how you like move from one place to another. And a lot of the near-death experience stories that we've heard of like people who do have those out-of-body experiences, they do the same thing. Like they'll think about someone and they'll like zoom and all of a sudden be there.
Yeah.
And it's like instantaneously, but like they are moving. It's like instant, but also not instant. It's like very like sped up where you can just go through. Now, do you feel like you like remember, or maybe not remember, like did you go through like a wall? You just like appeared there? Like how do you know how you moved?
It was thought. It's almost akin to what you'd imagine telepathy is like you think it and there it is. I do remember, and it's so funny you identified that. You're not magically teleporting.
Okay.
I didn't feel like a teleport. I could feel the movement down the hall.
Yeah, that's what.
But not through like a door or through a wall. Like when I went from the hall to Kate's room, I was in the air and the wall didn't matter.
Yeah, it was like moving
so
through
it wasn't
space,
like I saw a wall like a cartoon and X-ray vision through it, and that's how I got in. Physical, nothing mattered.
Wow, yeah.
Physical didn't matter.
Yeah. Wow.
Right? So the wall was a non-entity. So it wasn't like even X-ray to go through. It just didn't matter.
So did you tell her afterwards?
No. And actually, I don't know if she even like listens to our podcast, knows about it, but like it's kind of funny. No, I did not tell anyone. I felt like a weirdo. In fact, this story is so obscure. You are the first person I think I actually might have shared it with. We've been friends forever, and I'm telling you for the first time today. It's one of those that's like, it's also like non-eventful. I don't have like a crazy report. It's just that like it really, really happened.
Well, it's good to hear firsthand and be able to like see like what it was like. So when you ended back up in your body, did you feel different? How did it like, or did you?
I did. I mean, I felt like kind of magical.
Yeah.
You definitely feel like, okay, there's more out there. I think that happening left an impression on me, and almost like if you put a bookmark on your computer screen, like I'm a college girl right now and a normal college student, but one day I need to know more.
Yeah.
And this is our one day.
Yeah.
Like the bookmark has been pulled up.
Yeah.
But I think I was it like opened my eyes to like, I got to explore that more. I really do. And I thought it was cool. I mean, physically at that moment, I think I remember being like kind of tired. And then I felt like double the heavy when I went in my body. You felt the heaviness of your body. I definitely laid there thinking, what the F?
Wow. Wow. Well, that's crazy. And it makes sense why you've been wanting to do an episode about this and why you're like, let's do out-of-body experiences. Because I haven't been in a situation where I researched it or thought about it or like have done like the specifics. I've heard about people. Right. I think the only time that we both have had another like experience to speak to about this is more on the astral projection side. And that happened for me where during one of our breathwork healings, the first time I did breathwork, and it was very different because we're doing the breathwork. We don't know what's going to happen. You're kind of going into a trance. There was no promises of an out-of-body experience. There's really no limitations as to what could happen. And like my first time, I didn't know what to expect. And as I was doing it, all of a sudden, like appeared in my grandmother's dining room. I did not see my body. I felt I was out of my body, and I felt very physically in my grandmother's like dining room where we used to sit and like smoke cigarettes together and like talk. And it felt so real and physical there. Like I was actually had gone there. My grandmother was there. And this is like where I got to speak to like her and have a real conversation. My grandpa was there too, and he used to sit at an island and kind of just like listen, and like my grandma would talk, and he was just there like supporting, and I could feel, smell, experience the room, and it was so vivid. It wasn't dreamlike. It was like I had actually gone there, and it didn't, like how you mentioned like time in yours where like you were very present. Obviously my grandma has passed away. Like this was, time didn't exist. It was like I was in the present, but I was in this different realm where I could be in her dining room, which had since been demolished.
Right.
Like her house had like, there's a new like condominium place where she used to live. So it didn't even exist, but I was there. And I remember after I had it happen, I was like, oh my God, like I literally astral projected there. Like I was in her dining room, and it was the most real thing.
You said you could smell the smoke.
Yeah.
You could
it was,
hear the sounds even.
Felt so,
you felt the sofa that you used to sit on.
It felt like it was so physical, and it was so exactly right. And like I can't even remember, like I remember the idea of her dining room and some things, like, but when I was there, I could see it all like perfectly. It was like exact, and it was like unbelievable.
Well, the cool like double layer about that like gets really deep about the subject is we talk about this and heard this in a million stories. Time is not linear, how we experience it. So you going there to someone who's passed in a place that doesn't exist is layered in this exact moment. All things are happening now. So it would make sense when you astral project that our linear timeline doesn't apply.
Yes.
So
exactly.
So astral projection could be a planet, a dimension, a different time, but same place. Like in the bedroom I was in, it could have been that bedroom for 5 owners ago, right? Like
exactly.
what? So astral projection, like we're kind of digging into, can be anything.
Right.
It's your soul not physically tethered to your body anymore. Or I guess I'm using the wrong words because it could be tethered if you're imagining the tether, but it's you've popped out of your soul.
Right.
Or your soul's popped out of your body.
Right.
And you could be anywhere. You could go travel to a city right now or a city in the past. You could go visit somebody who is no longer here. That is so cool.
Well, and it's interesting. I think if you like practice it and it becomes one of those things that it did intrigue me after this happened. Like, and you know, so you'll talk about techniques, but if you figure out how to do it, you can go somewhere on purpose. Like this happened to me very much like unexpected. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? I wasn't like, oh, I want to go see my grandma. Like all of a sudden I was in a very like trance-like world, like, and like I guess that's what I needed, like whether spirit needed me to go there or whatever, like that's like what my body needed, because all of a sudden I was there. It confirmed that it can be done, and so it was like, but it was like more of like a happy accident of how it happened. But it's like, but like I fully believe that people can do it, and if like that's like your practice and that's like what you believe in, or that's like what you want to do more of, like you can make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, and that speaks to all the ways that you could elicit an OBE or an astral projection, like through a deep, deep healing experience, like the breathwork journey we were on. So we were doing crazy wackadoo breathing. It elicits you popping out of your body and being in spirit. Yeah. So like there's so many ways to do this. On your own, through someone. That wasn't that practitioner's exact directive to you.
No,
it just happened.
Not at all.
But that's so cool.
Right. Do you want to go through some of the techniques of how?
Totally. So first is there's a gentleman, Mr. Monroe. Oh, yeah. And he is like the pioneer of researching the subject, but he's a businessman. And I think it was in the 1950s. And he started spontaneously having out-of-body experiences. And it wasn't from something traumatic. He reported having the tingly, buzzy feeling, and then suddenly he'd see himself and he'd look down on his wife and himself sleeping. And they started like that, almost like my bedroom scene. And a lot of people, by the way, who have out-of-body experiences and then they lead to astral projections, report being very close to your body first.
Interesting.
That like the first few are being close to your body.
And it was, was it like just random that started happening to you?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
The word is spontaneous.
Oh, spontaneous. Okay.
So if it's not like an intentional choice, and this is not what his life path was or his line of work was, but it was so real. And like our out-of-body, our near-death experiences last week, everyone reports that it's as real as anything.
Yes, that's how I felt.
Clarity.
In my
it's not like
it felt
sleepy in a dream or anything like that. You're not foggy.
Right.
So that's another notable is that you're the clarity and your retelling of the room of your grandma's story. When you first told me it's so real to me, it's a photograph for me. Yeah. Like, because that's how real it was. But in any case, it's so clear. And that was one of his notables is how the clarity of it all. And so he led to doing he was like, I need to know this from a scientific perspective. So he created the Monroe Institute, which is an amazing institution that in the woo-woo world people go to, and they're studying all sorts of forms of the advancement of consciousness and tapping into it. Their main focus started as out-of-body experience because of him. So if you Google Monroe and Monroe Institute, he has a whole bunch of techniques. So funny side note, my dad, who's on the woo-woo journey with us of awakening and learning all this stuff, is super into this right now. So he's actually reading books and reporting to me on techniques for out-of-body experience and astral projection. And he's been trying for a few months and has no story to report.
Okay.
So it's not like you want to and wishful thinking happens.
Right.
So just so you know, it's not like, oh, let's meditate tomorrow and yay, let's,
Yeah, for some people it happens automatically.
Exactly.
Without even trying. It's so weird.
I would venture to go on a limb and say some people are more prone to it than others, right?
Yeah.
So he keeps trying. I will note this, sorry, Dad. He did say he has a story he hasn't told me. I don't know if it's good or bad or what happened. He has something to tell me.
Okay. Maybe he has some progress.
We'll see.
Some progress.
We'll see, but he has been trying. So anyway, there's lots of ways to try it. You could look up books, you could look whatever, but he had told me something about the Monroe Institute. So I just went on because I was like, I kind of want to try again. I haven't tried since college, by the way. So I was like, now that I'm a meditator and we love this stuff and my brain at the time, frequency wasn't a thing people talked about.
Yeah,
so that was a very foreign idea, by the way, in college when I had it.
Right.
Now it's like, duh, frequency. Right. We're frequency.
Vibration,
but that wasn't then. Yeah. Anyway. So now, with everything we know, I really want to try. So I actually looked it up and easily found 1 million meditations through Monroe Institute to lead you through this. So I definitely want to try it. So there's that. You could go online and find this.
Okay.
And so I recommend it. So I'm going to share the techniques I looked up.
Okay.
I want to be really clear that this is not exhaustive. This was just a quick little list. And likewise, I think my biggest thing to share is my story.
Yeah.
It is what your brain and your soul is going to understand the most, right? So I would say, I bet there's 500 techniques, but these are just a few go-tos that are known in the world. So the first one is the wake back to bed method. This is literally a trademarked word.
Okay.
This method, often used for lucid dreaming as well, manipulates the sleep cycle to increase awareness during the onset of sleep. So here is the practice. You set an alarm to wake up 4 to 6 hours after you fall asleep.
Oh, wow.
And then this is what you do. You get up and stay awake for 20 to 30 minutes, engaging in a quiet activity like reading about out-of-body experiences or meditating. Then there's intention. Go back to bed with the clear intention and focus to have an out-of-body experience as you drift off. So basically what it's doing is this one's getting you in the fog of sleep when you're halfway between whatever your sleep mode is and your awake mode is. Wow. So that makes sense.
So you're because you're really sleepy. You're halfway through your night of sleep. Yeah. If you wake up for a little bit, but you're kind of in that zone where you're then you purposefully say to have that very okay. That's doesn't sound like that much fun to wake up in the middle of the night, try it, but it's it sounds like maybe it could work.
Well, here's what it made me think of is I'm never going to set my alarm. I need my sleep. But when you wake up and you have to go to the bathroom and you almost walk closing your eyes in the middle of sleep because you're I don't want to leave this sleep state. I just want to go, please let me go back to bed. What it just made me think is the next time I do that, I'm going to try. Oh. So the next time you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, why not go back to bed and just try. Anyway, that's what it made me think of.
Oh, it's a good idea. Okay.
All right. So that's the wake back to bed. The next one is the rope technique. This is the one I had tried many, many times and didn't work for me. This technique focuses on a mental movement intended to trigger the separation of consciousness. And actually, I want to repeat that again because this is what you're doing. Triggering the separation of consciousness from your body. That's really good words because that is what I was. I was consciousness and not my body. That makes a lot of sense as a clear verbiage.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and we say all the time that we're not just our bodies.
No.
We feel we're our bodies, but we are this larger soul that and to be able to separate it. Why not?
Totally. All right. So in this one, you want to relax. You lie down comfortably, close your eyes, and enter a deeply relaxed state, similar to meditation or the beginning of sleep. And I do remember reading that a lot of these, they say, try to go to sleep. And if you're conscious enough in that, like, oh, I'm almost there.
Yes.
That almost there where you still know you're not there, but you know that you're in that yummy sweet spot.
I do know exactly that spot.
If you're awake in the yummy sweet spot enough to have clarity of it, that's when you're supposed to try this.
That's like, I feel like we can try some of this stuff without having, like, I love that. Like, just to be aware of that.
Totally.
Just be like, okay, I want to try to go here right now and keep yourself. Okay.
All right. So the rope technique. So you're in that sweet spot. I'm feeling the yummy. I'm about to sleep. Imagine a rope hanging just above you. Without moving your physical body, mentally visualize and feel your other body reaching up, grabbing the rope, and slowly pulling itself upward away from your physical body.
Okay.
Then focus intensely on the imagined sensation of rising, without allowing your mind to focus on your physical form.
Ooh, okay.
And I will say that even though this wasn't my like clicker of the thing that made it happen, this technique worked enough that I got what I was explaining, was that buzzy feeling. I mean, it definitely allowed my ability to blur the outline of my body.
Yes.
It allowed me to do that.
Okay.
Right?
Well, and you're visualizing a lot, like, right? And so I feel like you need to be able to like picture it.
Yeah.
So then, okay.
But I think I say it a lot because I think it must work for me when I've tried things before, but I keep referring to like the cartoon version of you. But I actually think it's easier to imagine the cartoon of your version of you like releasing. Like, you know in Tom and Jerry when they fight and one of them dies and you see their little ghost person and you still see the cat's body?
Yeah.
That's kind of it. Like if you can almost make it like less real, like the cartoony version. I don't know. That's always helped me.
I'm with you.
Side technique. Yeah. All right. So that's the rope technique. And then the third one is the target vibrational state method. Maybe this is what I did. I haven't read this all the way. This approach uses the physical sensations of vibration, buzzing, or floating that often precede an OB as a cue to exit.
Oh, it's kind of like what you're saying.
I think so.
Because you grasped onto the music frequency.
Yes.
And like that's and once you're kind of in that like meditative state, you're like, no, I can picture myself being vibration. And so it's like and this is saying like you basically like glob onto that and allow yourself to release.
Totally.
So I feel like
this is the one I did.
Yeah. Okay. Without even knowing there was one.
So this one says, lie still and relax until you feel a vibrational state, which can feel like a buzzing electrical current or tingling through the body. Then you want a mental exit. Once the vibrations are strong, use a simple mental command or visualization. Roll out now or float up to encourage your consciousness to separate from the body. So I've heard this before. The roll out now is like you feel the buzzy, roll out. Like it should be a very simple body command.
Okay.
Or rise up.
Okay.
So roll out, so you're like flipping over on your side on the bed as your soul is, or you're rising up. I like that. Simple command.
Too. I like the command. Right. I like telling yourself to do it instead of getting stuck in your head. You know? Right. Okay.
The alternative visualization is picturing yourself floating a few inches above your body, entirely detached from the physical sensation of the bed. And therefore, there you are.
Yeah. Yeah, this I feel like this is what you did without even knowing it.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. All right, and the last one for today is direct visualization meditation. This is the simplest approach, relying purely on mental focus while in a relaxed, hypnagogic state. Lie down. Lie flat on your back in a quiet, dark room, aiming for maximum stillness. Clear intention. Repeat a mantra or affirmation of your intention. I will have a conscious out-of-body experience. I will have a conscious out-of-body experience. I will have a conscious out-of-body. I did it 3 times because we've learned that you say things on repeat, right?
It.
All right. Then you visualize. Imagine yourself slowly rising, floating up toward the ceiling, or walking around the room. The key is to feel the sensation of movement and detachment, not just see it. Feel it. Okay. Not just see it. Feel it. There we go. Those are 4 ways.
I like that you don't have, like you can try these kind of in how you mentioned in ways like that happen anyway. Like waking up in the middle of the night or if you're like feeling like just like focusing on it.
We're going to try it.
You mentioned too that there's some meditations that you can like get on like different music platforms, Spotify. Like, and you can
easy access for free.
Yeah, and just to try it that way too.
So let's make sure we experiment with one that we know we like and let's add it to our show notes. So if you're listening, we will give you a direct one.
Perfect.
Check show notes. Actually, if you don't know this about our show notes, we often give additional information of where to resource what we're talking about in our episodes, just so you know. Anyway, I think we leave on this. Is there any universe that we're not both trying this in the near future?
Yeah, we're going to both try it. We have to. We have to.
We have to. All right. So we're going to find one. And or maybe one of us should try one of these easy techniques. Maybe that's you.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll try the long-winded meditation. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We'll just come back to you in a future recording.
Yeah,
whether
we'll
it works
report back.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's a future woo-woo.
Maybe. Oh, that'd be good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Future woo-woo. All
right.
But yeah, what do you think? Weird story? Cool story?
Cool story. And very interesting. It's like, it's neat to know that like there's like these things out there, and it's not like super woo-woo, like you're not seeing, like you're not necessarily needing to see a spirit or anything, but like it's once again to me like proof that we exist beyond the body. Right. And it like gives you more, again, it gives you another reminder that we are more than just this physical being that we feel so trapped in all the time.
Love it.
So I love
We're
it.
leaving on that.
We're leaving on that.
I love it. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys. Like the show? We'd love your support. Right now, we're doing an awesome giveaway. Leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Screenshot the review and send it to hello@soguided.com or DM us on Instagram at SoGuidedPodcast. You'll be entered to win a basket of our favorite woo-woo goodies, crystals, cacao, and all the high vibe goodies we love. Thank you for listening. We've loved being your spiritual travel guides and hope this made you feel more connected. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast player. Your reviews help us create the guide that you are looking for. We'd also love to hear your stories.
You could follow and share your experiences with us on Instagram at So Guided Podcast. Your story might just be our next weekly woo-woo. Join us again next week as we continue to dig deeper into the universe. And remember, stay curious, ask the questions. You are so guided.